Well, good afternoon to both of you, Lorraine and Emilce. I'm just so delighted that we're here together and we're celebrating a majorly beautiful book launch, a book that is brought to the world in such powerful ways. This is Unbreakable Spirit, 18 Stories of Feminine Resilience, Blessings, and Renewal. I'm Becky Norwood with Spotlight Publishing House, and it is my honor to have been able to work just a little bit with these ladies. I wish I could have worked with you more, but my goodness, what the time that we've got to spend together and reading your chapters has been exquisite. And I value the messages, the deep and beautiful messages that you're bringing to the world. So we are now an international best-selling um, number one best-selling book. And the beautiful part about that, I was actually looking at some of the stats. There was like 600 clicks on click through to get the book. So I don't know how that translates on the back end of for of what the stats look like, but that is pretty amazing. That is really amazing for the work that all of you collectively worked so hard to make sure this book is out there in the world, and you've built your own launch teams. It's been truly beautiful. So this is what somebody that left an endorsement for the book has said. What a privilege to read Unbreakable Spirit and to hear from no less than 18 women whose spirits are born to learn that what happened to them for each of them was utterly unique and a life of beauty. Each in their own way, they discovered for themselves that if there is any power in this universe, it's in you and in me and in the trees. Nowhere else. It is what we are, and that is unbreakable. Contained in this beautiful collaboration of feminine blessing is the most urgent message for all of us to stand in our own ground amidst all pleasure and pain. The goddess lives in us as us. And it's from Mark Whitwill, author of Yoga of Heart, The Healing Power of Intimate Connection and the Promise. So those were beautiful words, and what an honor to have somebody to say that about the work that you have brought to the world. And each one of us standing up and sharing these beautiful messages has that ripple effect out in the world that our world really needs. So I want to start with you, Emilce. Please share the name of first of all, your full name, where you're from, the name of your chapter, and the work that you do in our world.
Sure. Thank you so much. I love hearing those words for our book, and thank you for everything that you did, Becky. It's been a wonderful experience. So my name is Emilce Suarez Lipton. I live and work in New York, but I am originally from Colombia.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. He's from home, huh?
Cali, Colombia. Yeah. Thank you. And the title of my chapter is The Arrival. How my son's brief yet powerful visit opened my heart and awakened the divine within.
Beautiful. It is quite a story, and I know that it is, and the strength that you've shown through all of this has been a really big, beautiful testament to who you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, Lorraine, please introduce yourself and what your chapter is about and what you also do in the world.
Thank you, Becky. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I thank you so much for all that you've done. I've learned so much through this process. My name is Lorraine Manzo. I live in Long Island, New York, and my story is called Towering Chiaroscuro. Towering relates to the Twin Towers. Chiaroscuro translates to Chia is bright and oscuro is dark. So this is a term used in art for the high contrast between dark and light that's in an artwork and actually contributes to the artwork. And this was my experience on September 11th, 2001, when I was a brand new teacher at the time of the terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What an experience that must have been. Wow.
Yes, it was multifaceted because as a teacher, you take an oath that's called in loco parentis. That means I am in place of a parent for all of my students. That's what differentiates a teacher from a typical job, an educator's job from a typical job, because you have this enormous responsibility. And I had to be in the moment taking care of the chaos that ensued when students were hysterically crying. We live not far from New York City. Many students and families and faculty had people that were at the World Trade Center that worked or lived nearby, and myself included. I had family members that were at number 5 World Trade Center. And my daughter was in high school and I couldn't get to her either. I had to be in the moment taking care of my students and taking care of a situation that none of us were prepared for.
Wow. Wow. Nobody could be prepared for something like that. Nobody. Yeah. Wow. Amazing. So, how has the participating in this book, Unbreakable Spirit, what made you say yes, and how has participating impacted you on a personal level?
Well, I had always wanted to pursue my writing. I retired from teaching about 4 years ago, and I've done quite a bit in educating myself. I went on a wonderful writing retreat to Mackinac Island last year, and then I was looking for the next step. And when I saw Unbreakable Spirit, it truly resonated with me because I have reinvented myself so many times in my life. You know, I became divorced when my daughter was young. I was a single mom. I went back to college as a grown-up to become a teacher. I purchased my own home. I managed to get myself and my daughter a master's degree. So all of that happened and against, a lot of challenges, and I managed it. So I felt like this was just the right place for me, and it really was. Being in community with these wonderful, talented, incredible women, we were also vulnerable together and open and supported. It was a great experience. It really helped me to accept my writing process, which is write a little bit, take a break, write a little bit, take a break, because I was thinking, well, what's wrong with me? Why am I having such difficulty? But doing a deep dive into this emotional, difficult, past painful trauma is not easy. And I realized I call it write and recover. I learned write and recover.
That's
That's my
beautiful.
process. So that helped me a lot to get confidence in my work. It's not that I have a problem with my ability, it's that the subject is, very challenging.
Mhm. Wow. That's amazing, and that's truly beautiful that you stepped into this and that you could gain in the way that you have. Now, how about you, for you, Melcy, the same question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Lorraine. Um, so I had been writing because I wanted to write a book about this experience. My experience was um, I got pregnant naturally after unsuccessful fertility treatments. So it came absolutely like a surprise, a miracle, I felt. And then we learned quickly that my son was not going to survive, and he didn't. So I had to go through the process of a pregnancy because he was born when I was 8 months pregnant, so almost full term. And it was this powerful experience of surrendering, of being in this strange place where I could not um, envision a future yet because I was told he was not going to survive. So I couldn't hold on to hope too much. But at the same time, how can you live by day if it's not with some hope, So it was kind of like a strange, and I had to just surrender, be in the moment, talking about being in the moment, just like 1 week at a time, and loving this being in my body, knowing that he would likely not stay with me. So it was just a surreal unexpected, one of those like one in a million, right? That you don't expect to experience.
Yeah.
So after I went through my healing process, that's when the awakening happened, and I feel like his visit, I call it a visit, was what propelled me to have this awakening experience where my spiritual gifts open up, and now an intuitive um, psychotherapist rather than just a psychotherapist, and I do energy healing and other things. And it was because of that experience. So I felt like I have to write about this, and I started writing. I had like 100 pages, but it was all just like a journal, like venting, right? Like, and I started to feel like it needs to come out. The story needs to come out. I don't know if you felt that way, Lorraine. Like, just get it out. It was just like, and then I got this email in the inbox from Laura. I had seen her once in some talk, and I don't even remember how I saw her. Um, and I read the title, and I'm like, "Oh, this is for me!" And I just said yes immediately. I met with her, and then she told me, "Come on board." And yeah, it's fantastic. What Lorraine was saying is like, it's a magic that happens and sacredness when you're with other women going through similar stories and wanting to write and share the voices, and it's just magical. Yeah.
It's truly magical, and it's beautiful. And there's not one person on the face of the earth that can escape some kind of something that just rocks the world. All of us have to, and it's different for each one of us, and yet each of our stories can have an impact for the person that's out there and thinking they're the only one, and
Yes.
they're all alone, and all the other things that us women, and probably men as well, that will say, just kind of be feeling like they're not necessarily that they had a corner on the market, nobody does, but to just feel unsupported. And by sharing our stories, being authentic and raw and vulnerable, we're able to make that difference for other people in so many ways. So
Yes.
in your I did have a quote from your chapter. It says, "I was guided to dive deeper and deeper into my sacred heart and allow myself to sit with the grief, the longing, and the younger parts of me that needed healing. With the support of beautiful aligned energy healers and mentors I met along the way, I allowed myself to be in this unfolding. This fascinating journey led me to my own arrival." So beautiful. It's really beautiful. So, Milsey, if somebody picked up this book today and
Hmm.
opened the book, and the first thing they found was your chapter, and they started reading, what would you hope that they would walk away with?
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
really special thing do you hope that they gain from that?
Yeah. I love that question. I think as you were saying, like grief, loss, trauma, anything painful, like we have all experienced something like that at some point. And I feel like often when we're going through pain, we shrink, or we have the tendency rather to shrink and to want to close our hearts
Hmm.
because we naturally want to gravitate towards pleasure rather than pain. Um, and my experience is that grief has this particular um, thing about it that is kind of like cracks you open, and you have all the array of emotions, feelings ever, anger and fear and desperation and sadness. And then if you are willing to be with it and just see what else there is underneath that, and they continue to open your heart rather than, oh, I don't want to feel that. It's just like, just surrender to it,
Breathe.
into, and just, yeah, breathe, and of course with support from people, and and opening to your own light. I feel like that's the inspiration that I would like to for the reader to feel like if they're going through something or they went through something already and they feel like it's still that thing in here, that longing that hasn't left, that void, that is like, okay, she opened her heart and she dived. And there's more there. There's like the promised land, so to speak. Like there's more than sadness.
Yeah.
And it's an overflow of love, self-love. That's my hope.
That's beautiful.
Great.
Thank you for sharing that. And Lorraine?
Yes, for me, I always want to be of service. So I'd like to remind everybody that the light is within each and every one of us, and we can choose to live in the light. I think a lot of times because of our technology, we end up being disconnected from ourselves. And a lot of the healing methods that I mention in my story, which are meditation, yoga, writing, and creating artwork, are all personal, delving into your inner landscape. And each of us can actually find a connection to ourselves, and by that, find the divine within ourselves. Of all those methods, every single one of us can get a notebook and a pen and start writing a journal. And that would be of great service to yourself and to everyone that you know, because you will, after a while, recognize that you have a sense of equanimity about yourself. That people say, oh, you seem, a little different. You seem calmer. I know I got that from my students a lot. How come you're always so calm? And I realize my practices have allowed me to be residing in that place, despite all the craziness and all the challenges that are around us. We don't have a choice about the outer situation, but we have a choice on how we can respond.
Yeah.
So my service would be find that quiet time for yourself, disconnect from technology, and find a way to write and play and enjoy discovering yourself and the divine at the same time.
Wow. Beautiful. Your words, both of your words have just, if one was to just simply listen to what the words you both expressed, what light that shines on the world and what an impact it can have. And I think knowing the journey that most of us have, well, all of us are on a journey to discovering our true self, finding out what is our truth, our own personal truth, how to respond than rather than react. There's a big difference in response and reacting, and understanding that the work each one of us so individually do collectively has a huge impact, and that's what we're all here for. Really, we're here to shine that light. Yeah,
very true.
And I've worked for years. Years ago, when I first started in publishing, I wrote my own book, The Woman I Love, and it had to be me first. It had to be me learning about me and loving myself before I could ever expect that anybody would want to be a part of my life in any kind of way, and be able to have that attraction factor in spreading the message of how important it is to care for ourselves first and foremost.
Yeah.
And without that, we can't serve the world if we don't take care of ourselves. So thank you for the work that you do in the world. And I have your quote, Lorraine, I wanted to read it. It says, Namaste, the familiar salutation used in yoga practice, translates to the light in me honors the light in you. I believe that the more people acknowledge the light in one another, the more we can come together to utilize chiaroscuro as a way to create a beautiful collective masterpiece. I don't know if I pronounced that word right.
Okay, you have to be very Italian, Becky. You have to say chiaroscuro. But either way, it is talking about the dark and light that we have within each of us, and that we're all connected. We are all connected. And we think that we're so separate, but we're not. And we can find our way to that light if we choose to.
Yes.
The other aspect of the story was that there was the present moment of the shock. And then as time went on, I thought I was okay in handling everything that took place. And it took me by great surprise that years later, I found myself crying over watching a TV show that referenced the World Trade Center, and how grief is a trickster and it remains inside you.
Mhm.
And that's when I said, oh, I have more work to do. So even though years pass, or even though many things seem to be perfectly fine, you can be surprised by your grief.
Absolutely.
And on that day, on September 11th, I had an interesting role reversal because that triggered my memory as a child of another collective grief that I experienced when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And I was a child in school, and I saw all the teachers and everybody crying, and we were sent home early from school.
I remember that day. I was like in kindergarten, first grade, somewhere in there.
Exactly, exactly. And I didn't really understand what took place, but it was extremely frightening to see adults everywhere I turned crying and falling apart. And when I was in that position, all those years later, I realized I need to remain calm on the outside. I was having my own pain on the inside, but for my students, they didn't know that. I felt that I had to remain calm for them and strong for them so that they could get through the day.
Wow, such strength, and that is so true. Is that it can come back. There will be triggers that something will happen, just a snap of the finger, and it's like,
yes,
how did that happen? I thought I had this all under control. You know,
exactly. Surprise.
surprise, surprise. I want to thank you, ladies, for the beautiful you that each one of you are, and for being able to have a voice and not be afraid to share it out with the world. To let your voices be heard, share your truth, your authenticity, the ways that you were able to bring about healing, because it could be just one little message that they read in the book or heard from this recording that's what I could do. That's what I could do. And wow, we have a lot to celebrate. So celebrate
Thank you.
and enjoy this whole process. Thrive and come back and continue to share. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.